We've got a Bravo 3 drive here that's leaking from the outer prop shaft seal. So I'm going to show you what you need to do in order to replace your Bravo 3 outer prop shaft seal. So the first thing we need to do is get the unit to this point. Both of the props need to be taken off. So there's a special tool you can get. Links to all this stuff is down in the description. All the details you need to know for sizes and everything is down there. Take both of the nuts off. Take both of the props off. Take the spacer, little brass guy that sits right up here against the bearing carrier. Take that off. Then we're going to use this special tool, bearing carrier removal tool, along with a big 1/2-inch breaker bar to remove this bearing housing, which is what our seal sits into. So let's go ahead and crack this thing loose. Something good to note, this bearing carrier is the left-hand thread, so turn it clockwise as viewed from the back. Let's see if we can get this thing cracked loose. There we go. Let's grab this with a rag, give it a little pull. There we have it. Our bearing carrier assembly with our torn seal. So let's take this into the shop, get this old seal extracted, and put the new one in. So with our bearing carrier out and in a vise, we've got it facing upside down. So the seal is down here, and that's because we're going to get to this side to drive it out. Now, my tool of choice is a giant pry bar that has an angle on it, because then I can kind of get it in there, hook it in, hold against it, and then hit the top. Give it a little bit in that direction, flip it around, and do it on this side. And when you're making progress there, flip it around. There you have it. There's our old oil seal. Now, yeah, of course, the pry bar damaged a bit of stuff there, but doesn't matter. We weren't using that anyways. So, take our bearing carrier out. We're going to flip it over. We're not going to clamp on the threads. We're going to clamp right here. So I put a rag there, slip this in, just like that. And then just snug it down. Doesn't have to be crazy tight in there. We're going to clean this out in case there's any dirt or debris or anything that got down into here. Anything that could cause damage to our drive or our new seal, because we don't want to put a brand new seal in just to have it leak because we left a little piece of dirt in there and it ripped it the first time that we went out boating. So there we have it. Now our new seal, note this has kind of a plastic lip seal here to it, so we need to be careful because if we hammer on that, we're going to break it. So we need something so that we can touch just this outer edge as we drive this in. Now myself personally, I take a little bit of oil and just kind of oil the outside of this a little bit so that it will go in nice and smooth, no issues. Now conveniently, moments ago, you saw my new bearing driver. So this is a very expensive piece of equipment here. We'll clean this off slightly. It's perfectly over the top and doesn't damage the plastic. So now that we've got that ready to go there, we can take an actual bearing driver, set on top of it, Then just tap this new seal down into place. Okay, once we've got that driven down into where it's seated down here at the bottom, that's pretty much it. I'm going to put a little oil around this seal on the inside so when we put it back in, it all goes together smoothly. So at this point, we're going to take our bearing housing. We've got our new seal all oiled up so it'll go on nice and smooth. We're going to take this and just seat it back in here. Start those threads in place. Turn it the right way. Okay. That's in where we need it. Remember, left-hand thread. Now we have to torque this bearing retainer to spec. Specification for this is 150 foot-pounds, but because of the offset of this, there's a chart to calculate the proper amount. Because I've got a 36-inch breaker bar, I need to put 137 foot-pounds on this tool to get this to 150 foot-pounds. So, remember this is left-hand thread too. Let's put this in, and then torque this. Of course, it's going to run away on me. Turn the camera over here, I guess. Okay. We are ready to refill this unit with oil. Make sure it's not leaking. Put the props back on. Send this thing back to the lake. So, let's get it filled with oil. Remember, with any lower unit, fill from the bottom till it comes out the top. Otherwise, you'll end up with an air pocket and you'll burn up your upper or potentially your lower. There we have it. So I'm going to let this sit for a little while. Just make sure that it's not seeping anymore. And then we'll put the props back on and get this thing out of here. So hopefully this has been helpful to you. If you've got a leaky Bravo 3 prop shaft, maybe this will fix you up. Now the inner prop shaft is a whole nother animal. We're not going to get into that in this video because that requires a lot more major disassembly and we're not going to mess with that. But if your outer prop shaft is leaking, this should fix you up. So after setting overnight, this thing was bone dry. So our new seal has solved our leak. When reinstalling these props, there's a little more to just slapping them on and going. So we're going to put the inner spacer on, the inner prop on, the inner prop nut on. Now this gets tightened to 100 foot-pounds right here. So we've got our torque adapter and our special nut wrench. So this offsets the torque value because of the distance from the drive to there. So I'm going to put this lower than 100 because 100 is, don't know the exact math, but it's going to be more like 120. So I'm going to torque this to around 80 because of the offset of this, and that's going to get us real close to 100 foot-pounds on the actual nut, which is what we're looking for. Okay, there we have it. 89.9 is what ended up on there. So that'll be good. Now, what I wanted to show you is when you're putting the inner and outer props on, the inner one doesn't matter, just put that on, torque it down. But when you go to put the outer one on, there's a process of clocking these blades. So if you don't do this right, because these props are counter-rotating, if you don't have them clocked properly, you'll have a vibration. So when you're putting them back on, You want to get the inner prop facing straight up. Just any fin, it doesn't matter, they're not marked. Just one of the fins on the inner prop has to face straight up. So sight down it and get that nice and straight up. And now when you put your outer prop on, you want one of the blades to face straight down. So that this is here and this is here. This nut goes on, gets torqued to 60 foot-pounds. Then our anode goes on and gets torqued to 20. So I just wanted to show you the clocking sequence. We've got our seal in, so we're not leaking. We'll put this back together, and that's all there is to it. Thanks for watching.